welcome to this video. Today's video is all the books I read in 2024. I cannot believe it's actually 2025. It is currently January 1st, and it's just so insane to me because I felt like 2024 flew by so fast. But today I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read in 2024. I will say that I didn't read that many because I've just been getting into reading like a month ago. So basically all of these books I've read in the last couple of months. Anyway, so we're just gonna get straight into this video and I'm gonna show you all the books I read and all the books you should and shouldn't read. So let's get started. Okay, so first book I read this year would be One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I heard that this book was good from a YouTuber, and they said that they loved it and it was so interesting. And by the way, most of these will be murder mystery books because that's what I'm into. But I read this one. I started it in June and I finished it in December. It's kind of hard to explain. Don't really like this book. Probably rate it like a 2.5 out of 5. 5 kids go into detention in high school and one of them dies, and so basically in the whole book you're trying to figure out who killed them. And by the way, in this video I will not be sharing any spoilers for these books. Anyways, this book, it was quite what do you call it, like exciting in the beginning, and then I started reading it and I didn't think the relationships were very believable. There was a lot of cussing in this book, but the ending was just very sad. I just don't really like the ending. I thought it was really sad and not what I wanted for this book, so that's why I'm rating it that. And I just thought it got very boring in the middle, like very off subject, and so yeah, that's why I'm rating that a 2.5. I did think it was interesting the way that the author had different views from each of them in every couple of pages, but I just really did not enjoy it. Okay, next book I read is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book was definitely interesting. I finished this book in a day and I was very into it. I thought it was really interesting, and the ending was definitely insane. I actually did not guess the ending to this one, which I usually do guess the endings to murder mystery movies and books, so that was surprising. I thought the ending was pretty interesting for sure, and I loved the characters that they put in this book. I thought they were super believable, and I thought this was just a really interesting book. Like I said, I finished it in a day. I will say that there is some cussing in this book, so be aware of that. I'll also try to put like the age I think you should read. If I like the book, I'll put like an age that I feel like is appropriate to read the books. Basically following this girl Pip, and basically it was a case that was from 5 years ago, and it was about this girl that went missing. They never found her body, and then they found out that it was her boyfriend that murdered her. But this gal Pip, who we're following in this book, just does not believe it because she knew the guy and she didn't think that he was a murderer. So she's trying to prove that it wasn't him 5 years after they closed the case. So very interesting book. Definitely has lots of twists and turns. I would probably rate this book a 4.5. I thought it was super interesting and I really like the author. I think she's very cool. And along with that book, I read the second one to it, which is Good Girl, Bad Blood, also by Holly Jackson. This one is definitely interesting. It took me a little while to get into this one. Storyline at first wasn't very interesting to me, so it took me a few days to finish it. And again, the ending was so insane, but again, I really enjoyed this book. I would probably rate this one a 4 just because I didn't really get into it at the beginning, but I do think that this is a interesting storyline as well. And along with that, I read the third book to that series. I'll show it on the screen because I actually got it from the library, so I do not have it anymore. But oh my goodness, that book is so insane. It's actually crazy. It's called As Good as Dead, again by Holly Jackson, and oh my goodness, I could not, like, it is so insane. It's crazy. I kept having to like put down the book because I could not finish it. I just don't know how to feel about that book. I don't have any word other than insane to describe the book. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I guess it was I don't know, meh. but like around the middle, like I just had to keep putting this book down because I could not get through. It was so insane. I will say, like, quite sad, but it was just crazy. I just cannot believe all that happened. I will probably rate this one a 4.5, just like the first one. It was like, there was never a moment I was bored per se. I just kept having to put it down because like I had to stop reading it at some point. Like, it was just so incredibly insane. So next book I read is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but this was such a funny book. I literally laughed so many times. I really like the characters in it. It's like a fantasy romance. I thought it was very interesting. I love the different parts that she puts in this book. I love this gal that you're following. I thought it was so funny. Like, it's literally just what the cover says, Assistant to the Villain. We're following this girl who is assistant to the villain, this bad guy in their town. I literally laughed out loud while reading this book. I thought it was hilarious. I will say quite a bit of cussing in this one. Holy cow. I did think it was funny. I liked their banter between each other, and I thought it was a good book. I'll probably rate this a 4.5.
Also, I completely forgot to mention that this book actually leaves on a cliffhanger. I heard lots of people talking about this book, but they never really mentioned that there was a cliffhanger, so I figured I would put that in this video.
And I also read the second one, Apprentice to the Villain, which also, look how cool these frayed edges are. Book, again, was a lot like the first one. It was funny, but I honestly liked the first one better. I just don't like it as much as the first one, so I'll rate this one a 4. The third one is coming out in August of 2025. Next book I read is The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I read this one online. I'll show it on the screen. Holy cow, I had heard people talk about how the ending is insane, and oh my goodness, I was blown away by the ending. By the way, it's by Holly Jackson, which is the same author as the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. Oh my goodness, it is such an insane mystery book. I was literally at the edge of my seat the entire time. I finished this one in 2 days and thought it was insane. Actually, somewhat did guess the ending. I somewhat did, but there was lots of twists and turns that I didn't guess. Anyways, it was a very interesting book. I was blown away by the ending. It is basically about this girl, Rachel Price, who went missing for 16 years. And obviously it's called The Reappearance of Rachel Price. So she does come back. You basically just find out where she was for those 16 years. Again, it was just insane. I would rate this a definite 5 out of 5 stars. It was so interesting. I would totally read it again. The next book is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was super fun. It's basically about these people who can just almost tell what It's about these people who can almost tell what like people are thinking.
Okay, so editing back this video, I realized how poorly I described this book, but it's basically about these teenagers that are extremely observant, almost tell their whole backstory by just like looking at a person or looking at what they're wearing or different things about someone. So they're extremely observant people who this FBI agent hires.
They learn how to be a natural, which is what they're called. I thought this book was so funny and interesting. It was definitely a fun book, and I'm currently reading the second one. This book is a 5 out of 5 for me. I thought it was super interesting. Not that many cuss words, but it does have cuss words once in a while. I think there was like 5 or 6 in the entire book. Finished this book in 1 day. I got it on Christmas Eve night and I finished it on Christmas Day. So I thought it was so fun, and I am really excited to read the second one. So there you go, guys. Those are all the books that I read in 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know some books that I should read or you really like in the comments below. I hope you all had a wonderful 2024 and have a wonderful 2025. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!